everyone. Welcome back to Chit Chat. Before we start today's podcast, I wanted to give a small disclaimer. The contents of this podcast are not meant to hurt or offend any group of people. If it does, then we truly apologize. Let the Chit Chat begin.
Welcome back, everyone. It's been a hell of a week. Been super busy with a lot of annual compliance trainings. What have you guys been up to?
For me, outside of work, I've just been watching a lot of good shows, a lot of good TV, but it's been a little chaotic, but after hours is always great.
What have you guys been watching?
I've been watching a lot of old movies and a lot of YouTube videos. I've realized that I watch way more YouTube than a normal human would probably want to watch. Lately I've been watching a lot of tech videos. I've been watching a lot of science videos, and to top it all off, I've been rewatching old movies. Like I've been watching people of different race watching the movie of my race and reacting to it, but also watching the movie. It's like a watch along of them watching the movie. It's weird, but that gives me a way to like rewatch the movie and get other people's opinions. Like what would someone of a different ethnicity like think about?
You spent all this time watching other people watch old movies, and I'm gonna bet you didn't watch Gladiator.
I still have not watched Gladiator, but I remember watching it at one point.
Yeah, you were a rewatch.
Yeah.
This other guy here, though.
I still have not seen Gladiator. I, too, will give you that I have been watching a lot of movies and TV shows during my commute this week, but have not gotten around to Gladiator yet.
What have you been watching?
I could say that TikTok got to me, so I've been watching pretty much anything TikTok tells me. I started a little bit about young Sheldon. Started watching Ballers because I just see Dwayne Johnson everywhere.
We don't fuck with no oatmeal.
We don't fuck with no oatmeal. And I also started rewatching Avatar, like The Last Airbender, but I've been watching The Legend of Korra, which is like the second series.
I love Legend of Korra. I actually am one of those people who think that Legend of Korra is better than the original Avatar Last Airbender. The Avatar Last Airbender holds a special place in my heart, but Legend of Korra is like, I grew up and now I'm an adult, and Korra gave me like adult stories. It's not giving me the same kid stuff that Aang and his crew were giving me. But didn't you start watching Jujutsu Kaisen?
I did. That was a little while ago. Been getting into more anime stuff. Jujutsu Kaisen, highly recommend. I am kind of sad that I got into it when I did, because I'm at the perfect point where now I have to wait week by week just when things are ramping up. Other than that, I think that, solid show. I definitely recommend it. But back to the Avatar, The Last Airbender, I think that the one thing that I find sad about Avatar, The Airbender is that even after winning a Peabody, just recognizing the amazing character development that Zuko and all these characters go through, people don't give it the respect that it needs to, because it's not an anime and it's also not a cartoon.
So who's your favorite character? Mine definitely is Uncle Iroh. There's no one better than that. But what about you?
I would say, man, it's a toss-up, because I originally didn't like Zuko, but then but I think that was his character, right? You're gonna hate him, you're not gonna like him, but then you see his character develop, and that is, I will say, easily one of the biggest surprises of the show for me, because they developed Aang a lot, and you see him grow with you, or you grow with him, however you want to put it. But seeing Zuko grow, seeing Sokka, right?
Yeah.
Like, he is easily the best. He was comedic relief, but I would say like a very good supporting character. But he was more of a they very underutilized him. I think he became more of a plot device than anything else. Same with what's the sister's name?
Katara.
And I feel like that was my only hang up about the show. But otherwise, amazing cartoon / anime.
Yeah.
I don't know where to put it.
The only reason it's not an anime is because it was made in America, because anime is from Japan and it's made in Japan. I do have to disagree with you, man. At one point you said that Aang had a great character development. I don't think he had much character development.
But he was just a lovable character, right? So he's the classic lovable character that we have.
But he had faults, and that's what we kind of explored at the end of the season, like the last 3 or 4 episodes of him still
not being decisive.
But he's got to be pure, right? That was the whole thing. He was the Avatar.
Yeah.
And so the purity was there, but you also see like he is flawed. But
Yeah.
you're right. Like I mean, over 60 episodes, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to develop all those characters. Iroh was a good one.
Yeah.
And the thing is, he didn't even require so much screen time. Like, if you see compared to other characters, he didn't get screen time. And, like, it was such a tragic
about
story.
Iroh?
Yeah, Uncle Iroh. And it's...
His backstory is so cool, though.
his backstory is cool, but, like, the backstory behind the voice actor is also, like, tragic and amazing. Like, for those you don't know, the Tales of Ba Sing Se, the episode where you find out about Appa, Sokka, and, like, Zuko going on a date, and then Uncle Iroh helping people on his way to a tree in Ba Sing Se, eventually lighting a memorial for his son that had died. People don't know, at the end, the episode ends off with it saying, in honor of Mako. Mako was the voice actor that actually played Uncle Iroh, who found out he had cancer. So before that season, the voice actor actually died, unfortunately. So they had to change the voice actor, and this was kind of their like homage. And by
Homage.
using
Homage.
Homage. All 3 ways, man. I don't think you can say it wrong.
Yeah.
That's pretty dope. I remember actually we watched that together, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you either one of you or both of you together probably yelled it out. It's like the Aragorn scene, you know?
Yeah.
In the Lord of the Rings.
You have to say it.
Yeah. I think we cited that one time.
Yeah.
I will say one show watch. So it got to the point where my viewing of anything, TV shows, movies, etc., became so fragmented that like I started losing track. So I felt like I was coming back to shows 6 months, 8 months later and forgetting everything. So my way around it, I just started writing shows on my fridge. I have a board. I literally have a whiteboard that is a planner and everything like that. But I got it just so I can make sure I keep a list and have it handy. So right now on my board is Suits, Billions, and I forget the third one. But I'm probably gonna add Jujutsu Kaisen to it. I'm probably gonna add Naruto Shippuden again to finally watch it. I know you guys are pretty pissed about that.
You know what's one show that we have all consistently watched, though? Dragon Ball Z. Or any Dragon Ball. Like, I think that's our classic
you mean
go-to.
the father of all animes, like the anime show that is propelling Japan's economy when things are going rough.
Isn't that crazy? It's like talking about Taylor Swift again, right? Like when your show or when your content is kind of propelling the economy or helping the economy out, I feel like you've made it. I think that's...
Yeah, like whenever they release new episodes of Dragon Ball, like it's bittersweet because I'm excited, but then I'm like, poor Japan. They had to come back to this, didn't they?
Yeah. I think it's pretty interesting to see how this character of Goku has grown with so many people and how it's inspired so many other artworks. Because I know the new generation of anime all pay homage to Akira Toriyama, the creator of Dragon Ball Z, and tried to integrate his work style and work ethic into their anime. Because I know he had a very specific, hardcore work life where he just stayed in his studio, just made manga panels and send them off.
That's crazy. Like when you have to put in that kind of work for years and years, right? Like this is not like something that you just do for a little bit and then stop, but this goes on for a while. And I mean, there are so many episodes of Dragon Ball, so he's continuously drawing and just coming up with new content. But what would be your guys' favorite saga? Like for me, my personal saga would be the original Saiyan saga. The Tournament of Power was also good. So many good sagas, so many good things. But like, what would be your guys's?
I think for me, definitely the Frieza saga.
I was gonna say, man, Namek. That's it.
Yeah. Namek was so dynamic and like
See what you did there.
Yeah, and like pretty much story altering that you suddenly go from like, oh yeah, now there's aliens because Saiyans come to Earth, to now like, oh my god, there's a literal universe that they're building. There's other aliens that we all like immediately hate just by their existence.
The Ginyu Force.
Yeah, the Ginyu Force, and like the Ginyu Force, and that is just like a little speck of all the characters we saw, because we saw like Zarbon and all these other characters that we just met. We didn't even know like how bad Frieza was, but we got that ominous presence, and we're like, oh man, I hate that guy. Like, and like, oh yeah, I want Frieza to kick his not Frieza, I want Vegeta to kick his ass.
And we hated Vegeta at that point. Like,
yeah,
just a perspective. We hated Vegeta at that point.
Well, going into Namek, yeah, you're like, hey, this is a villain, and when they sided with them, it's there's a lot of iconic moments, iconic things that like kind of rippled all the way through. I mean, I would say the biggest thing for me was I was watching it when it was week to week or day to day. I forget when. Every day there was a new episode that came out, but they only had until Goku got to Namek and like showed his badassery once.
Yeah,
and then they're like, okay, cool, find out next time, and suddenly you go back to the beginning, and I'm like, what just happened? And that happened for like a good solid like couple years, and I think at that point it was only about 50 or so episodes. So once we got the real episodes, then it was a whole different game, because they kept releasing new episodes, and they're like, okay, we got the next 50. Thankfully, by the time they get through 40 of them, they're like, all right, we got the next 50 after that, and suddenly they had the entire Dragon Ball Z, like the entire list of all the episodes, and we're like, let's go.
but I do think that nothing kind of lived up to it. Like the Android Saga was okay. The Cell Saga was great. That was my favorite moment with Gohan. I think as a kid watching it, right? Like I wanted to be Gohan. I wanted to be that person. Like I know everyone wants to be Goku, but look at this kid. He has like surpassed his own father. He has gone, and Goku is like the best of the best, right? Like the strongest person. So that was a big thing for me.
I think that's my quarrel with the DBZ universe is after the Cell Saga, it like fell off a cliff, because the whole point was, and Akira Toriyama said it, that he was trying to shift Gohan into the main character, and I think that would have been well received, in my opinion, from me, I guess, if I could say, and I think that would be a great way to pivot the show at that point in time. And they tried to bring him back with like the whole he's a Z warrior and a Z sword and stuff, but it just didn't work.
Yeah.
They ended up relying on Majin Vegeta and Goku fighting, which was dope, by the way.
I would say honest, yeah, even before it was released in English, it was dubbed. Before it was dubbed, that was like we were waiting for that fight. Like Goku versus Vegeta as like non-Super Saiyan, still like pretty weak, old Vegeta voice. Let's just put that into perspective. The old like whatever, I don't even know how you call it. That was Vegeta voice that of. That's like I wanna be a Super Saiyan.
Yeah, the renegade like Vegeta is what like they like to call it. And like just to reference what you guys said, like the I wanna be a Super Saiyan. I think a great shout out to like Team 4-Star.
Yeah, the DBZ abridged right?
Online. Oh my god, it's so funny. It's iconic. Very original. Yeah. Like I waited week by week for like during the Cell Saga.
It wasn't week by week. It was month by month.
By month. Yeah,
right.
For like the Cell Saga, and like I watched that on loop. Like I know you talked about watching stuff on YouTube. I think I watched like the large compilation of like all the DBZ abridged episodes.
Yeah, that was really cool. Not gonna lie. I've watched that so many times. I've seen the Cell Saga a couple of times. Basically the whole Namek Saga where, just Krillin just explodes and it goes like pop, and then just Frieza looking at Vegeta and just being an absolute bitch to him. Just the whole, I just love all the voice actors.
Yeah, the voice actors, everyone's super talented. I also loved Frieza's character. How he was like seen as like he was the only sane one in this entire universe. He's like, that's stupid. That's very stupid. How do you exist in this world?
Wait, for what?
For the abridged version. That's what.
In that.
Yeah. And like Goku was this like really stupid person unless it came to fighting, which like then he was like a genius. Yeah, I think that was amazing work. Like my favorite part was the Krillin own count, because you always forget how many times Krillin has been bitch slapped through a house.
Oh my god, you're right.
Everyone just fucks with Krillin, man. And I mean, we don't get enough screen time for Yamcha, but otherwise, we know Yamcha would also be bitch slapped. Yamcha didn't even make it to the Tournament of Power, right?
They didn't want him, right? That was the whole thing.
No, he just didn't make it. They'd rather have Frieza, who would be stronger, right? Like Yamcha's not even.
Cool. Yamcha versus Frieza. I forget.
Yeah.
I mean, that's easy.
I mean, they never asked them even before they had the Frieza idea.
They got Master Roshi in
Before they had
for Yamcha, and I'm talking. Right, Yamcha is easily a fourth of Master Roshi's age, right?
Yeah, but Master Roshi also has the Kamehameha, so.
But what about the Wolf-Fang Fist?
And no one cares about any Wolf-Fang fists.
No, is it Wolf-Fang or Wolf-Fang? Because it sounds like Wolf-Fang.
I think it's Wolf-Fang.
No, it's definitely Wolf-Fang.
Okay. I was confused for a second. Like, you guys threw me off.
No, but like let's talk a little bit more about the impact, right? Like, I think I've always grown up in that situation where it's like, oh, you watch anime, or oh, you watch like cartoons. You know, what the fuck? You're so weird.
Are you talking about anime or Dragon Ball specifically?
Both as of now, but I just wanted to show like the importance of Dragon Ball, because no matter like, you know, an avid listener or watcher of the series you are, even if people that don't know the genre and they're trying to like, you know, make fun of you or just talk about like trying to have some middle ground with you, no matter who they are, they know Dragon Ball Z.
I agree.
Even we make fun of this, but like, you know, the ending when it's like, will Kakarot reach Namek in time? Find out on the next episode of Dragon Ball Z. And that was super cool. And by the way, I started with Dragon Ball Z. I didn't know about the original Dragon Ball. I had to go back and watch it.
Oh, same.
Yeah.
The fact that when they started everything, everyone knew each other and all this stuff. I'm like, I am lost.
Yeah.
I get what you mean. So weirdly enough for me, I was a very hyper kid. So what really spoke to me, aside from just like the amazing fighting, was like the power screams. Like, you know, when they like scream to charge up when they're angry or trying to be Super Saiyan or something. Watching that was kind of like appealing to me as like an energetic 7-year-old. And I'm like, wow, I could do this. I could turn into a Super Saiyan. And I think that's something a lot of kids like resonated with. And the impact it had on like our generations. Like actually
the strength of their voices, man.
Yeah, like across our generations, actually, because like we're all at different age points.
And it was oddly interactive, right? When Goku asked for like the energy for the spirit bomb, you know very well I raised my arms and I said, take my energy, go for it, Goku, kill fucking Frieza. I was ready for it. It always got me hyped up. And I mean, we're talking about like old school Dragon Ball Z, but me as an adult now watching the Tournament of Power, I had to wait week over week. I know you watched it a little late. Like, I think you watched it after the show was done.
Man, I watched all of Super after it was done, and I will tell you right now, I don't know how you guys did it week to week.
It was insane because you would see like some fights start and some like complete saga start, and some fights will take like 1 episode, some fights will take like 3 or 4 episodes or even longer. And I'm like, what is this time? This time is so relative. It's not decreasing fast enough.
What about the 5 minutes on Namek?
Yeah, actually, that's my comparison. I think both of them are very relative. I think they're just trying to show how fast these people fight, I guess. But yeah,
or just to show the seriousness of things.
Yeah, but like just like the amazing music and all of that stuff that's happening with the Tournament of Power, it was insane. Because, you know, I still listen to like the Ultra Instinct theme music.
Yeah, I literally have that when I'm working out sometimes, and it's just amazing. And I think when it first came out and I'm listening to it, I think I messaged you and I was like, hey, can you just listen to this? No context, whatever. And you're like, no, it's going to be a spoiler. I'm like, no, but you have to listen to this theme music.
It is good. And the whole problem was like that showed up all over TikTok, right? And it was like when the trend was when the Ultra Instinct kicks in at the wrong times. And like, you know, people were like, they'll be cooking something on the stove, the thing falls off and they grab it.
And it's like a hot pan.
It's like a hot pan, something, cast iron, whatever it is. They catch it, and then regret sets in. Yeah. And I'm like, I think I know what's going on here.
Yeah.
But I don't know what's going on here.
But then there was also another trend of, do you remember the Kefla fight of the Kamehameha, like dodge, like,
Yeah.
using that Ultra Instinct Goku, sliding it through and then just going like Kamehameha in like 3
Easily
different
probably
angles.
one of the dopest things I've seen.
So people started using that trend.
They would just put text over the characters. Like Goku's character would have something like "my back problems," and then like Kefla's character would be like,
Posture adjusting, brace or something.
yeah,
Brace.
or like a chiropractor that breaks my back, stuff like that. But like, as we like in the conversation, we noticed that like we watch this through different times of our lives. We still watch it and keep up with it, and just we mentioned a little bit about the impact it has on the Japanese economy. Like, let's talk a little bit about like the overarching impact that this show had on our lives, and not just ours, just like everyone's life. It's such a big part of everyone's life that like people name their kids Goku, right? Like a specific story that you told me, it's like when you were a kid, like when you would be upset or your brother would be upset or your sister would be upset, your parents would come home and be like, oh, like what happened to Goku this time or something like that. Just the impact of like through generations and through countries, people know this one character.
Yeah, that's really wild. But something you said really triggered me. People naming their kids after a show character, which is very similar to what happened during the Game of Thrones seasons, right?
Yeah, lots of kids named Khaleesi.
Lots of kids named Khaleesi.
Oh man, that didn't age well, did it?
Also, Arya.
Neither did the kids in King's Landing.
Yeah. Did because what was it? Oh my god! Wow, Sansa, Arya. Actually, there's a random EDM song by Sansa. It's not actually Sophie Turner. That is dope. I can't tell you what it is. I don't remember what it is, but
Wait, do you know what's going on with Sophie Turner right now? Like, it's pretty famous right now.
The Queen of the North, Sophie Turner.
Yes, Queen of the North,
Queen
Sophie
of
Turner.
the North. Oh man.
Killing Ramsay, Sophie Turner.
She didn't kill Ramsay. The dogs did, but
Enough
yes.
for the spoiler talk. I guess you know what. If you
It's been a
if you
while.
haven't seen Game of Thrones at this point, go watch it.
But you're never gonna watch it.
But dude,
realistically.
yeah.
There's a whole nother series, like a prequel series is already out, like House of Dragon. Like I think at this point it's fine to talk about the show.
Yeah, but talking about Sophie Turner and Joe Jonas actually just filed for divorce.
Camp Rock Joe Jonas,
Yes, Camp Rock Joe Jonas.
like Joe Jonas from the Jonas Brothers. Joe Jonas,
Yes, Nick Jonas's brother, Joe Jonas.
like Kevin Jonas's brother,
Like
Joe Jonas.
Priyanka
When you-
Chopra's brother-in-law, Joe Jonas.
Yes. So wait,
Wow.
when I talk about Jonas Brothers, your favorite Jonas brother is obviously Nick, right? Can we
Kevin.
all agree?
Kevin.
He's not here, man. You don't need to. You
You
don't
don't
need
have
to say
to.
it.
Yeah, you don't have to say he's your favorite.
Somebody
He's not here.
has to mention Kevin.
I mean, I do agree. That's how they broke up the last time. No one gave a shit about Kevin, and he.
Wait, he was in a band with them? He was in the band with them? I knew the Jonas Brothers existed as a band together, and they were in a couple Disney shows. I think they had a show, not only this Camp Rock, which was another show I didn't watch, but I think they had another like Jonas Brothers show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think Joe Jonas was actually dating Demi Lovato at that time, and they broke up, and it was all during that time.
Sorry,
and,
Joe Jonas.
Sorry, Joe Jonas. Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah, he was okay.
Yeah, he was dating Demi Lovato, and I think that didn't work out, or was it just friendship? I'm not sure, but like there.
So there's a lot of rumors about the relationship of one of the Jonas Brothers with Demi Lovato. I think what ended up happening is like they were close, they dated, but I think at that time when like the Jonas Brothers were shooting the Jonas Show, that's what it was called, in like 2009, they were heavily backed by Disney. Like they really made it big. They were selling out tours. They had the Camp Rock movies, like 1, 2, and 3, I believe, and all of them did phenomenal. It was like the revamp after the High School Musical series. You know what I mean? So they actually went out and dated a lot of stars. Like they, I believe that Joe Jonas dated Taylor Swift. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just looking at that. Man, my man is... Joe Jonas is a silent Pete Davidson.
Yep.
The man's got a list.
It's funny because after the divorce, they just I think TMZ just spotted, or someone spotted, Sophie Turner with Taylor Swift
Wait.
at her concert.
Wait, divorce?
Yeah, they got divorced.
Oh, I did not know that.
They got divorced in to September 2023. I mean, they filed for divorce, so I don't know if it's completely done yet. And they said it's mutually decided, it's amicable, but they all say that.
They got kids, right? Or
They got
have
two
right?
kids. I was today years old when I found out that
Yeah,
they had two kids.
I knew they had one. I wasn't sure if the other one was born or if she was still pregnant or whatever it is. But it looks like they got two.
Yeah. There's a lot of controversies around it. They're saying that, they seem so happy together. Some fans are saying that, but the other fans are saying that they were just completely different lifestyles, or at least that was a statement that I think Joe Jonas put out, that we live a really different lifestyle. I like to be home, and I'm like an introvert, and Sophie is like, the queen of the north, so she likes to party.
I also would like to say, like, I think there's a significant age difference. Not significant, but there is a big age
Seriously?
difference. I know Joe Jonas is 34 years old and Sophie Turner is 27, and they met. I think they met a while ago before they had two children, right? So being in your early 20s and settling down and not having, and like coming off of a big show like Game of Thrones and being like loved worldwide, to kind of settling down, I get that lifestyle change. Like, I understand it.
And I also will say mid-20s versus, because right, like she would have hit 25 when he was 32. That is significantly, like, that's a significant change. You go, like, when you hit 30, something breaks, right? Something breaks in your body, and it's maybe breaks or cracks, and you don't want to go out as much. You become more of a homebody. And I remember 25. Man, I was out all the time. I was like, I was driving to go out, or driving distances to go out. So I get it. Like, if the lifestyle doesn't match, that's gonna be a problem, because I mean, your week is dedicated to work, and they're very big personalities.
But what is Sophie working on right now? I'm not aware of anything.
Getting her groove on, I guess. But yeah, I don't know.
So according to like people.com, they met in 2016.
Yeah.
So 2016 is like 7 years ago. So she met this man and was in a relationship at 21 years old. This is significant time.
They got
That's a
engaged a
valid point.
year later.
But that's a valid point, though. She was I mean, a college kid equivalent, whether she was in college or not. 7 years ago, 2016. When did Thrones end? 2017
Yeah.
or 18?
2018, I think.
2018. Yeah.
But they were engaged in 2017.
It was 19. Yeah, it was 19. Because it was the same weekend as Endgame. I remember that.
Yes, it was 2019, May 19th.
Or the same year as Endgame.
Yeah, that was a wild month because we had the Game of Thrones ending and then Endgame coming out.
Yeah. But yeah, I will say, like, so that puts her at 21 or 20. And yeah, he was 26, 27. So their lifestyles blended, right? She was going out as a college kid, right? Or someone who just started being able to drink. And I mean, we all remember what that was like. And he was in his mid-20s, able to party with money. And now
I don't think money was ever an issue, because I think both of them had plenty of money.
I guess, yeah. You know what?
Successful careers,
I forget. I take that back. Yeah, I forgot that Joe Jonas's career has been pretty long.
Yeah.
So I think one thing we don't realize is like the beginning of the Jonas Brothers. They were advertised as like this kind of Christian first rock band from Disney. They were very heavy in their faith. They talked about keeping their virginity. And stuff like that. So like if this was not a facade, let's say, like, and from interviews and stuff, this was something that actually Nick Jonas had talked about, like coming from that background and kind of opening up a bit, coming from that lifestyle and family and kind of moving through life in a more conservative way. And then, being Sophie Turner, star in like kind of a racy TV show. Like, sure, she was a kid throughout all of it, and most of it was not regarding her, all the explicit content. But like, still coming from this racy teen TV show background, and then being a youngster, right? Like at 21, 22 years old, like you guys remember that. You guys just want to go out, meet as many people as possible, drink, and just hang out with your friends.
I mean, you want to rage. Okay, I give her that.
Overall
and
messaging, yeah.
Yeah.
Seems like she wants to rage, and he's done with that.
I do see some very funny things on Twitter though about this. People keep on like misquoting Joe Jonas, and they're like, Joe Jonas says reason for divorce. Sophie Turner kept on buying chairs too high so his feet dangle. Or Joe Jonas says reason for divorce is she kept on taking all the cups and putting them on the top drawer so he can't reach it.
That's really funny.
How tall? I forget. She's tall. She's like 6+, right?
No. I think she's like 5'10".
Yeah.
Oh,
But-
5, yeah. Oh,
But it's also
He's 5'7",
Oh, that's actually not 2 inches, huh? Enough, I guess.
5'10", and 5'7".
3 inches.
5'9". No, it's 5'9". I see.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Either way, yeah, but enough where it's like.
It's a meme. So the fans are also speaking about the other side, where some people are saying that there's some footage of Ring doorbell footage of someone suspicious going in when Sophie invited someone when he was not around, like Joe Jonas was not around. So
Yeah.
maybe infidelity. I don't know. Fans are speculating. I don't know how real this is.
Oh yeah, no, there's some crazy stuff going around. I don't know how like true all of this is. One of them was like there was an alleged threesome between Sophie Turner, Joe Jonas, and the girl who played Arya, Maisie Williams.
Maisie Williams.
Yeah, and I'm just dumbfounded by all of this because I'm like, this is wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I hear a little more of a practical one. Clearly, someone who's on Joe Jonas' side is saying that, Joe was left to take care of the children while Sophie was busy filming for her projects and out partying. And he did it for some time, but didn't like it eventually. But
Raising your own kids?
They're basically saying that that's the divorce season. So he was babysitting his kids, and that's the problem apparently.
And he didn't like that.
He was like, I'm okay with when she's around and she takes care of the kid, but when it's just me,
They're kind of a drag.
That's not fair.
I
Back.
I really appreciate you using the term babysit because I think if the tables were flipped, like he's on tour with his brothers and she was out here taking care of the kids, there would have been zero
Nobody
problem.
would bat an eye. Nobody would bat an eye.
100%.
You're right.
Wait, but that's just crazy. I'm just trying to wrap my head around it. So the issue is that she had work and projects to work on, so she
Allegedly.
was doing that. But don't these people have nannies? I think their combined income is well above, enough
I
where
think regardless, right? Regardless, the messaging feels weird. Is that like you're a Jonas brother, right? Or you're Sansa Stark or the Dark Phoenix or whatever, right? You have an image to maintain. You have a career that you want to keep going, right? They're both big. I mean, I'm sure they have big careers, right? Demanding careers. I'm of the mindset of like, if that's the case, why are you in such a rush to have kids?
yeah, two kids.
You know?
I mean, okay, it
And
makes
maybe
sense
it was an
because
accident. Maybe there were accidents, but I would say, man, like if you're not ready for it, that's not the time, right? Like, I mean,
I think it comes from I think this is one of the things of being a child star, honestly. In both their perspective, like there are some cracks that get put in living this life of being an adult, right? Like I know Selena Gomez once in an interview said like her work week was pretty much she works 60 to 70 hours where she would be recording her
sorry,
TV.
who is this?
Selena Gomez.
Selena. Okay.
Yeah, like she would be working on her TV show Wizards of Waverly Place, then going into record music, and then going for interviews and tours and stuff like that. And her day was packed. Where at a certain point she was kind of like, "Why did I choose to also sing?" Right? So seeing like being an adult in your teen years or preteen years, I would say leaves a little crack and makes you like kind of compare yourself to the older people around you. So your life is automatically fast tracked. And I think that's the problem that these people ran into.
Yeah.
wait, so how is Priyanka doing that with Nick, right? Because Priyanka has a pretty successful career in Bollywood, and
What has she done lately, though?
she had a Prime TV show.
Yeah, but even that was Quantico, right?
No, not
Citadel.
Chronicle.
Oh, Citadel. I forgot about that show. With,
Citadel on Prime.
Was it Richard Madden?
Yeah,
Was he
Richard
there with
Madden.
her?
Yeah.
Any of you guys watch that show?
I did.
How was it?
Don't watch it.
Don't watch it. Oh my god.
It was kind of boring, to be honest, and just like I think they wanted a season 2, so they just dragged it out, and they're trying to build a universe because they're supposed to be like I think a Italy version or France version of this, and then there's also an Indian version of Citadel, and they're gonna be like with different characters from those specific regions.
Is this based on a book or something?
No, this is
They're just creating something from scratch.
They basically just want like a spy verse kind of a thing. I don't know. I'm not a fan of it. I just didn't like it. I wouldn't recommend it. Regardless.
Yeah, regardless. I think it's, again, Joe Jonas and Sophie Turner. I think it's a battle of personalities, right? I think sometimes they just won't last. And like when you bring up Nick and Priyanka, I think they met at an older age. They're very similar in that sense, I think, where they're like not trying to party.
Well, Priyanka's like a lot older than Nick.
Yeah, but like, you know, that's more of the lifestyle that the Jonas brothers kind of grew up with from what we've seen, right?
But so I mean, I guess there's a lot more to unpack in that relationship with Nick and Priyanka.
Well, Nick is Jijaji.
With Nick Jija, yeah.
Nick
Yeah.
is
Jiju.
India's Jijaji. I think that's an
Well,
achievement of its own.
But dude, I will say this, man. Like, let me take a step back, right? With Joe and Sophie, there were a lot of similarities. And so suddenly the differences and all that stuff kind of fade away pretty quickly, and it's not as interesting. I don't know, maybe that's what it is. But with Nick and Priyanka, I mean, she was introduced to an entirely different culture, though she kind of grew up in it. I think she's from Boston. Grew up in Boston.
Well, she went to high school there, but she didn't grow up she grew up in India, but she just went to high school.
Fair enough. But Nick was introduced entirely to the Indian culture, which is huge, right? Like, well, you come from a market where everyone knows your name, and then you go into a market where everyone knows your wife's name. Mm-hmm. Anybody and everybody knows who Priyanka Chopra is.
Yeah, and I mean, especially I think now people are taking that in account, right? Like, I mean, more and more Western culture is watching more Bollywood stuff, so Priyanka's reach is gonna even grow even more. I mean, RRR won an Oscar, and a lot of stuff happened with that.
How did that get so? So I'm just thinking like other broad like Indian movies that showed up or Bollywood movies that showed up on Netflix. Like none of those caught steam quite like RRR. Was RRR produced or like created by Netflix?
No, it was not. This was S.S. Rajamouli's creation. He also created 2 other epics like Bahubali 1 and Bahubali 2. What's going on in India right now is a lot of the South Indian movie industry, the Telugu movie industry, is basically they were not considered proper industry. Bollywood was considered the big dog of movie industry in India, but there's Bollywood stories just kind of started going downhill. It did make a comeback. I think for a lot of last few years, Bollywood struggled a lot, especially since the pandemic. But I think Shah Rukh Khan's Pathan made a big impact. So going back to the South Indian movies, they started to basically get writers and directors and kind of Bollywood and South Indian industries kind of making these pan-India movies, which are pretty cool. And I think there's like another trailblazer that's going on.
Would you say this is unifying India?
Yeah.
It actually is. I do think that within Bollywood, Punjabi culture was always embraced heavily.
Yeah.
So like you could say like, Hindi, like Punjabi, like these kind of traditions and stereotypes were already included. And now with bringing in or kind of getting inspiration from Tollywood, and like getting all these Telugu and Tamil writers, I think what's happening is that you're bringing in another part of India, and it's a different sort of feel because you're watching beloved actors like Shah Rukh Khan and like Deepika Padukone and like kind of making it so that they speak to a different audience in a different way of storytelling because Tollywood does have a very specific, elaborate way of storytelling.
Their art direction's so insane. You might have a guy who throws a car at somebody.
Yeah. So some of the South Indian movies go absolutely wild, right? Like they go crazy.
I think my favorite and like one of the most ridiculous ones that I like to talk about is named Ega, and then like the Hindi version is
Spell it.
don't know how to spell it. but the Hindi version of it is called Makhi. It's pretty much about this guy and girl falling in love, and then him dying because some other gangster loves this girl and killing the lover, and that man reincarnates as a fly, a regular housefly, and like pretty much tortures and hunts them down and wins back his love.
I think I've seen. You know what? I think I've seen most of this movie.
You know what's funny? So, as ridiculous as this plot sounds right now, this was directed by S.S. Rajamouli, the same person who created RRR and Bahubalis.
You know, the guy. I actually don't know how old this movie is, but the guy had to have roots from somewhere.
2012.
Yeah.
Wow. When did Bahubali come out? Oh, 14.
Yeah.
This is a guinea pig. All right, we'll go with that. Or guinea
It's
fly.
wild to go from Ega to Bahubali. Again, Bahubali, if you haven't seen it, an epic movie of like just cinematic like proportions where like sound, music, backgrounds, acting so out there, so dramatic, so vibrant that like you have to love it. And I love that the story kind of takes a backseat, the main story that you start off with the flashback, to a point where like in the last 15 20 minutes I didn't know there's gonna be a second part, so I'm like, how are they gonna wrap this all up?
I will admit I first saw it and I forgot about the literally the current story, right? The flashback was insane. And then, you know, you flash back to the present, you hear like, you know, the cliffhanger, and I'm like, I watched it with you guys, right? And I was like, wait, when's this next movie coming out? And you're like, we don't know.
A year or 2 years later. Yeah, year and a half. Yeah.
And I'm like, are you kidding me?
So
And that was an epic weekend to begin with.
And
right?
and I think
But-
that was the greatest point to end that movie off, because I had lost track of time while watching that movie, to be honest. And when I'm seeing this fight scene, I'm like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? And the next thing you know, you see Katappa stab.
that's a spoiler.
I think it's been long
it's
enough.
almost 10 years.
Yeah.
All right. We end the first movie with Katappa killing Bahubali
And
we're
stabbing him to the back. And I think that's where the movie ends.
And the art direction of that scene was insane too, because he's telling the story in you know, like this is the only time where you had a voiceover in the entire flashback, and he's saying this, right?
we don't know how it led to that moment.
right?
Yeah.
Like the whole Bollywood side of it was just complete, or you know, Hollywood or Sollywood, whatever it is, right? I hadn't been ready to watch that kind of movie, and then even to the point where they're like, "Hey, we need to make sure that the fans know that this is like they don't want them to be outraged," so they immediately told you that a second part was coming and when.
and they lied.
Oh yeah, they lied. They lied.
It
It's very
got
aggressive.
delayed by at least another 6 to 8 months. And not just that, right? So the anticipation for Bahubali 2 was so crazy. This was a South movie, but even in Bollywood, the dubbed version was the highest gross earning movie for Bollywood. And it's like that for years until Pathan came along in January of 2023, and with Shah Rukh Khan's comeback after like 4 or 5 bad movies, people thought that, you know, they could put Shah Rukh Khan is done, his career's over. Basically, he gonna have like small roles, but he's not gonna be a big superstar. But he made like a big comeback, and then now he's making an so Pathan broke all the records. Now we're back with Jawan, his new movie that just came out September of 2023, and in just 2 weeks it's like inching really close to breaking Pathan's records. And you know, it's crazy. It made over 100 million domestically, sorry, not domestically, 100 million internationally. $100 million is a lot of money when you convert it into
For a
India's
Bollywood
economy.
movie. Yeah, for a Bollywood movie, it's incredible. I mean, it's hard to like compare it to U.S. releases, like
Yeah.
like Hollywood releases, but yeah, like I mean, we saw it, right? All of us, all three of us have seen
Yeah,
it.
I saw it.
We've seen it.
Right, and so I mean, it was a good movie. I enjoyed it. There was a lot of commentary, right? That kind of went over my head just because I don't follow Indian politics or, you know, any of that kind of stuff. So apparently there was a lot of subliminal messaging or even direct messaging at points that resonated with me, but I didn't fully understand the full impact of it. But yeah, maybe you guys know more about it than I do.
I honestly think that the movie basically had some really good content, and a lot of things were happening, right? Like I think Atlee is a really great director. I really wish that they broke it down into 2 movies, right? I think this would have been a great 2-parter, like we were talking about Bahubali, right? And this is definitely spoiler talk. So just if you haven't seen Jawan, I would say that when the second Shah Rukh Khan or the older father Shah Rukh Khan shows up at the end, I think that would have been a good cliffhanger because we don't know at that point like what's going on with his character, right?
I think I do agree because I think I actually talked to you after I saw that movie, and what I said was that I just felt that the story was really rushed. I think the movie for what it was, which was like a Masi movie is what they call it. I think it was super cool. Like the entrances, the songs, the music and like
The background music,
the lighting, amazing. Like you were in there with Shah Rukh Khan. Like you were here to bask in his glory.
And you know, he could be in any, like he had a lot of costume and changes in looks in this movie. And he could be literally in any of those looks, and he looks spectacular. Like I liked all his looks.
Yeah, and I think it was like ridiculous at some points, and like we all knew this going into a movie like this Masi, or like you know, or just like a
from a director who's known for some extraordinary
extravagant
physics,
things. Yeah. No,
I would call it his own physics.
Yeah.
Right. I think if we did. I personally thought that it was too rushed story-wise, and I told you that right after I saw it, and that's why I like your suggestion of I wish it was 2 parts, because in the first part we could have had a lot more development of Shah Rukh's character, maybe like the Nantara and his love story,
like the Azad character, right? Like the Azad guy.
yeah, or like
the love story,
and then it comes back to the whole thing. It comes back to the whole thing, and I see this with Japanese works too, anime, and maybe even like Korean shows, right? The directors there don't trust their audiences, right? So for us, for example, like how many times have you heard me say it with any kind of show, like it's Japanese, just even if it's dubbed perfectly, like some random American or person without any kind of an accent talking through it, you're like, this is anime or something like dubbed, because over explanation, and I think it's known, right? And I'm worried that it's the same thing with Bollywood movies too, is that the directors don't trust the audience. It's like, okay, you leave this cliffhanger, the audience is going to be pissed if we leave it like that.
But see, it worked for the Bahubali movie, right? The Bahubali franchise was like living proof of second parts work if you leave them on a really good cliffhanger. And especially when you have star powers, right? Like the superstar of the South movie was Prabhas, and Prabhas is considered like he can't do no wrong.
But how did it end before you? Because remember, it ended with the battle being done, right? Then you suddenly go like, oh, like how did he die? And then you find out that it was Kattappa who betrayed him, and then you're left with the cliffhanger. But you had like a conclusion to the story, the flashback, brought back to the present, and then you have that cliffhanger.
We did not have a conclusion.
We did not.
The battle ended, right? He was named the king.
He was named the king, but he died. We didn't know about like the second half of like what happened. Why did it cut up like that? So that's
the overall story didn't end, right? The overall story didn't end, but that he was. You find out that he was betrayed by him after all that, but that doesn't leave the audience as upset or whatever it is if you introduce something and you are literally in the middle of a story that isn't resolved in any way, and you're now like, hey, let me wait. The Matrix tried this. Okay, like I'm just going back to like Hollywood, right? The Matrix tried this, and they released their movies 6 months apart because they broke those up. Both of those movies sucked.
So the way I would have done it personally would have been, I think we had a lot of people in this, right? Like the cast was so wide.
Yeah.
We had the 5 girls who were with Shah Rukh, and then we had Nantara's character, which was basically the cop who's out to get him, right?
And then we also have Vijay Sethupathi,
who's like the big bad, right? So like Thanos, we could have kept building him up as the big bad, and his brother who died in like basically at the halfway point. That could have been like the main evil big bad for this movie.
Like just like the side character you fight, and I think that
so I guess you then have to do it like where you can't make the main main bad that visible then? Because the brother was kind of like it felt more like an ancillary character that showed up.
Yeah.
And then like he was, because again, spoilers here, he went on like a vacation or he was away for some business. Maybe that was when he went to Russia. And
Yep, that's what it was.
And then his brother came in for a raid and died, right? And I'm like, I didn't connect with them. I didn't think if they rewrote a lot of it, I'm sure you can
I
make
think
it
if
work.
they,
That's what I'm saying,
extended,
yeah.
Make it work.
I think that if they extended the story and made it like that, and I also disagree. I don't think that needed to be done. I think the main big bad could have stayed. I think the whole thing was, to your point of like, oh, how do you get people back? I think the way you get people back is like if it's a suspense of like, yo, who is that? Or like, is that his dad?
They will always come back.
They will come back, and I think they'll come back even more excited because, Prabhas was like a sweetheart in Tollywood. Like everyone loved him. He was a great actor. But now in Jawan, you have Shah Rukh Khan. Like he is the star to the stars. He is globally known. This is a man who has his name written on the tallest building in the world every year on his birthday. He has pull.
Oh, he has pull, 100%. I think he has a lot more international pull, and obviously people in India as well.
I'm not worried. Like I know how I'm gonna use the word illogical and die hard people in India are towards their celebrities, right? I mean, it's evident in not only in pop culture, but even when you go to the movies. I mean, how many times did we hear people yell every time Shah Rukh showed up on the screen?
Oh, it was insane.
Single time.
And I think I have not experienced that with American movies outside of Endgame, right? It gave me the Endgame, like Avengers Endgame kind of vibe when people, Falcon says on your left, and all the Avengers show up and just you get the screams and the cheers and things like that. I have literally not felt anything like that since then. And this was really cool. Like even with Pathan, I heard people screaming, and with Jawan as well. And it's just like one man has so much pull and love. I think I'm not critiquing Jawan. I think Jawan's great, but honestly, what I'm talking about is I just wanted more of Shah Rukh Khan. That's all it is. They had a really good concept. They had a bunch of social justice thing going. So yeah, those are just my thoughts.
Yeah, like aside from the crazy numbers, like you could see why it did crazy numbers, right? And it's not just Shah Rukh. I think the movie itself was good. Do I think if it was some lesser known character, I would have watched this movie and loved it as much? No. But that's because the movie hinges on this is Shah Rukh. Like watch Shah Rukh do cool shit with six packs and like buffed up Shah Rukh hitting people for the right reasons.
Also, guys, like don't get me wrong, like Shah Rukh as an action hero is awesome, but like it was a shock for me when I first realized that this guy who was a chain smoker, super thin, like I don't know, but I was worried like about his like livelihood, for lack of better words, like whether his ability to live. And then like I see Happy New Year, garbage movie, but you see Shah Rukh and I'm like, wait, when did Shah Rukh get jacked? And now you see him as like this incredible action star.
Yeah, and it's fun.
He's the oldest he's ever been, obviously.
And it's actually funny because when he came into the industry, he wanted to be an action star.
Yeah,
they actually stopped him. I think Yash Chopra looked him in the eyes and said, "Your eyes have so much love."
Yeah, and Aditya Chopra is like, I will definitely cast you in a action role. And when Adi first called him for an action role, so he said that I'm going to call you whenever I make a movie, I'm going to make an action movie. When he actually called, Shah Rukh was expecting an action role, but it was actually Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge. And he was like, I don't know, man. I'm not a romantic. I don't know how to do this. And man, he knew how to fucking do this.
Just icon, dude. That is that is a man. That is Mr. Steal Your Girl. And like, back to what you guys were talking about, like the feel of like the action and stuff. And that's like a lot of stuff that I see when I actually watch Korean movies as well.
It's funny because Atlee, the director of Jawan, is actually trying to nominate Jawan for Oscars.
Good luck.
I don't think that's a good
idea. I love the movie.
I mean, don't get me wrong. If RRR can be nominated, I don't think it was nominated for. Was it nominated for anything outside of the music?
I think there were a couple of nominations. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But
it would probably be more technical stuff, right? Like story, or like writing or story, or something like some of the non-main, like probably not. Actually, I don't think a Bollywood movie is ready to be nominated for best film.
Well, I disagree. I mean, there are some films that I would definitely think that
we think they're good. I don't think that the American, because it's an American award, the American committee is ready to do that. Like they did, what was the Korean movie?
Parasite,
right? And that was in itself a big leap forward. But
so yeah, that's the thing. I think there's representation, right? Like I think Asian representation in the in the recent years have been, influencing all these committees to take a lot more diverse actors and stuff, mostly focused on, when I say Asian, I mean, I don't mean South Asian, but I don't think anyone has taken a stand for South Asian actors.
I take that back. 3 movies so far have been nominated in history. Bollywood movies have been nominated for, I think it's Best Film. I just don't know which award it's in. Maybe not. Maybe, hopefully, the Academy Awards. But Mother India from 1957, Salam Bombay 1988, and Lagan 2001.
Wasn't there whole thing about Slumdog Millionaire also in the Oscars?
But that was an American-made
So,
film.
yeah, that one's controversial because I don't know if it was a Hollywood or Bollywood movie.
No, it was a Hollywood movie. It was Fox Studios.
Okay.
So, but going back to Jawan, there's a rumor that Deepika charged, I think, $0 for being in this movie. But there's a fact also that Deepika was told that, hey, can you please join this movie? And she's like, yeah, I mean, you just ask Shah Rukh. I don't need to know anything else. I'll just do it. It's a funny story that Shah Rukh shared in one of the press conferences where they were shooting for Besharam Rang. If you know that song, that's where Deepika's being super seductive in Pathan. And Shah Rukh looks at her and looks at her manager or his own manager, and he's like, do you think she would say yes to a role of mother in the movie for Jawan? Because they were still shooting for that part. So Deepika had no idea. So the Pooja Dadlani, who's like the manager for one of them, went up to Deepika and in like literally 5 minutes, she's like, yeah, she said anything for you, Shah Rukh. And she just did it. She didn't know she was a main character until the success of Jawan, when people are like, hey, did you watch the movie? You're one of the main cast members. She thought she was just doing a cameo. She thought it was just a special appearance.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I guess. I mean, she did film a few scenes, but you're right. They could have been in quick succession, and that's it.
With the movie so packed, she felt like more of a main character because she got 2 songs and a lot of scenes, right?
A lot of impactful scenes. I mean, a flashback is always interesting, right? Because you could make or break a story with it.
Yeah. And
she had a great presence. I mean, she was I would say probably in total her screen time was probably
10-15 minutes.
Outside of songs, not anything significant. Right?
Oh yeah. Outside of songs, I would say like 5 minutes total.
I think she had a great significance to the story in a fact that with her we were able to find out that you could just check if you're pregnant by measuring your heart rate.
Oh yeah, and if you're and I'm not even talking like anything fancy, right? Like she took her pulse.
Yeah,
my man. She took her pulse and was like, "Hey, hold on, let me check your pulse real quick. Oh my God, you're pregnant. We can't hang you today."
I think all of us were just laughing, like, what the fuck just happened, right? Like,
I actually found out that the movie encompasses so many social messages as well as like the test of human spirit and patriotism. The movie was actually inspired by The Dark Knight and Money Heist.
Do you mean the action sequences or like
all of it? I think what they mean by The Dark Knight and Money Heist is like, when Money Heist, like there's the moral aspect of it. You get into the backstory of these people that are robbing this bank. And then with Dark Knight, like, there was a method to the Joker's madness. He was trying to break humanity or break the human spirit, which was Batman at the time, right? Like, hope.
But who was trying to do that in Jawan?
I think with Jawan, it was a message of, like, the rich and powerful getting control and getting to do whatever they want with the lives of not just, like, soldiers, but just regular people because they can't do anything.
Jawan, what Azad or whatever, he would be the quote unquote Joker in this case.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I would say like with Jawan in general. I mean, if I had to compare villains, because naturally the comparison between Pathan and Jawan, like each had its own strengths. I would say as a villain, acting wise, whoever played what was the guy from Jawan? What was his name?
Vijay Sethupathi.
Sethupathi, right? Vijay, I like better from that standpoint, but from an actual menacing, like real villain standpoint, I like the one from Pathan better.
John Abraham.
Jim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jim.
Like, but the real thing I didn't like for his villain is that his whole thing was he was super smart, whatever. But there's no way my man had that many backups all the time. Like,
You got a twist? I got another twist.
right?
For you.
Like oh my god! Like yes, we saved the day.
Yeah, I think with Jim's character is that he always just had some sort of like MacGuffin that he pulled out that saved him. It's not a matter of like, and they just slapped on the whole, oh, I have a plan. Don't worry, I have a backup because I know you apparently and how everyone in this agency thinks.
Yeah, but I would say like he was an actual threat in my mind. The other guy in Jawan, I didn't feel as much of a threat physically, but that was the whole thing, is he had an army.
Yeah, I mean that's why even in the final scene in Jawan, yes, they were just beating the crap out of Vijay Sethupathi, but then there was this tall, menacing dude who came along, and I didn't like how they ended with that either. Like that fight at the end, I think could have been stronger a little bit, but I think overall, I think I say people should watch Jawan for sure. It's a great movie. If you're a fan of Shah Rukh Khan, you're always going to have a good time with
I
it.
think you should watch Jawan, Your Wife's Parting Habits.
Babysit your own kid.
Yeah, like babysit your own kids, and don't let TikTok influence what shows you watch, because you will never finish them, and there'll be just a plethora of new shows that you're watching.
Except when it's Dragon Ball Z, and that's always a good show.
Or Avatar: The Last Airbender. Both great shows.
Or apparently Legend of Korra.
Legend of Korra is GOAT.
Okay, well, on that note, I think it's time to hit the hay. So, goodbye, chitheads.
Until next time. See ya.
See y'all again.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. See you again, Chitheads.